Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I'm going to work on a reel. Well, I don't even know what the reel's name is. That's where I rely on you folks as members of the channel community to tell me what it is that I'm working on. This is an interesting reel that I got as part of a greater set of fishing reels. It's a beautiful reel. I'm going to speculate that it was before World War II. There's no name on it. The only thing I have on here is a trademark that, well, kind of looks like the money symbol for pound. And it just says trademark on it. I'll see if I can get a closer look for that. If anybody knows what this reel is, please let me know. I'm always trying to learn from them. This one, well, probably hasn't been serviced in a while. You're kind of hearing the noise that would make. I am thinking pre-World War II because it has a wooden knob on it, and that's kind of indicative of the earlier reels. After World War II, plastics pretty much started taking over, and whether it was the Bakelite or any of the variations of it, plastic knobs became normal. Also, after World War II, many of the direct drag reels were replaced with star drag reels. They became more popular, and well, this is German silvered, and very, very sturdy frame. You can see that. So if anybody knows, the only other marking on this reel is 150. I'm going to assume that means the reel would accommodate 150 yards of Dacron braided line. Also an indication of the time. Well, we're going to take this apart. Let's go find out what's inside. It's kind of curious. It does look like we have a click. Not only do we have a click, it's loud. Looks like this could be rubber or hard plastic on this side. And same thing with the retention ring here on the inside of the piece. So again, if you know what this is, please leave it in the comment section. I'm always trying to figure that out. And what I call these a lot of times, I call these tuition reels. And why is that? Well, the value of the reel is really in what you learn. And well, I'm going to try and learn a little bit more about this reel. Not only how it was designed and made, but also who made it over time. Well, we're going to see if we can get the screw off. That might be the hardest part of this exercise here. We're going to take the exterior pieces and parts off. This is actually the easy part, I guess. We're going to take a look inside. We're going to clean it up. And then what we'll do is put it back together again, see if we made it any quieter. And we'll await finding out what it is. So you remove that handle screw. That comes off. Looks like we have 5 screws on the exterior. Be careful with these. An age of a reel like this, particularly one that probably hasn't been serviced, as this one seems to be screaming, I haven't been serviced in a while. Take your time. Don't force anything. I like to put a little penetrating oil onto the screws. Maybe that'll help a little bit in terms of seeping in as we start to bring them off. It would be a nightmare if we just kind of broke those screws. Happens. But let's see if we can proceed here. This is definitely a well-made reel. This was not an inexpensive reel at the time. And well, you can just see in the way that it's kind of stayed with us here. It's my guess is this reel is 80 years old or so. Well, if it's pre-World War II, U.S. involvement in World War II was early 1940s. Well, 80 years takes you to the 2020, right? All right. These are beautiful screws. They came out pretty easily. One of the things I like about it is there's a little shoulder on these screws, so that where they typically would break off, they're actually still solid, right? There's a little shoulder here as it goes through that side cap. One more, and we'll get a look inside and figure out what this is. Even the spool had some nice chroming on it. And I'm not sure what the other metal parts are. All right. When I take the screws off, I like to put them all on the side and make sure that they're all the same size. These are. I'm going to put a little spray on the threads just so that they go back in easier. When I take them off, I also put them into a parts tray. Well, if you like these types of videos, if you like to learn about fishing reels like I do, I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, please use that notification button. That will let you know when I'm posting. And, well, you never know what I'm going to post. Here's one that I don't even know what it is that I'm posting. But most of the time we'll work on all kinds of reels. Saltwater, freshwater water, old, new, vintage. Basically, the idea behind Second Chance is give the reels a second chance to go fishing. And I can't service all the reels in the world. I don't know about all the reels in the world, and I'm not quite sure I would want to service them and do that if I could. So I try to transfer what I know to you so you can do it. And doing it yourself will definitely keep them moving. All right, I just wanted to put a little bit of penetrating oil into the wood. Wood can be oiled, so that should help this a little bit. It's a black painted knob. Look at this blank. Right? Can't find that today. Let's see if we can get this side plate off. That came off relatively easy. I wonder why it's screaming at me, and, well, I don't have to worry much. Look at all that dried grease on there. This is a independent pinion gear. A lot of dirt on this side. Again, I'm searching for some kind of indication of who would have made this reel and the like. I'm not seeing anything here, markings or otherwise. I do belong to a organization. It's called ORCA. That is short for Old Reel Collectors Association. It's an online organization that you can become a member of. It's not that expensive on an annual basis. There is an annual dues to it, but that annual dues gives you access to your whole library, which is just incredible. Gives you access to a lot of folks that know a lot of things, certainly a lot more than I know. And well, it just helps me out all the time, whether I need a schematic on an old reel or some advice about how it comes together, or maybe just an understanding of the history of the reel, where it was made, when it was made, who its competitors were, who made the reel themselves, from a designer standpoint, a little bit about patents, all kinds of things. And as I mentioned, there's folks out there that have contributed to ORCA. There's people that have gathered stuff together. And I would encourage you, if you are interested in that, go to orca.org, orca.org, and well, you can sign up. I just found it on a lark. I was looking for a schematic. I put that into my search engine, and up came the information that it was available there. I've cleaned off that side plate pretty good. There's a little bit left here, but I think I'm kind of happy with the results. This is beautiful metal work here. I'm just going to use a very soft scrubby pad. I have no idea of the collectability of this reel, what it's worth, anything like that. As I mentioned, it came in a box of big reels that I purchased. Actually had in there some Senators and things, and in the bottom of the box this thing was sitting there, and I'm looking for a home. So there you go, it has a home. I'm using Penn Precision Reel Cleaner, rod and reel cleaner for this. That will remove any kind of film and the like. Kind of a polish on a cleaner. So as we mentioned, this side might be rubber, might be Bakelite, I'm not sure. But interestingly enough, this rod and reel cleaner, at least for a little while anyway, will make it look like it's restored. It doesn't. Eventually it dries off and kind of goes back to where it was. But for now, that did a nice job. Okay, you can do the same thing on the spool. The spool's got a little bit of just kind of accumulated film on this. Again, after, we're going to say this reel's 80 years old. I might be off by a year or two or more. But let's just say after 80 years, it should look that good, right? All right. I've used some penetrating oil now to try and free up some of that dried grease. It's an iterative process. A paper towel and some penetrating oil will generally loosen it up. Sometimes you can need a little bit more effort. Use the flat blade of my screwdriver to get some of the chunks off of there. I don't want to go crazy on this one again because it's been around a while, so we're just going to take a while to do the things that we do. While I do that, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel, particularly if you like how fishing reels come together. If if you'd like to see more of these, right? If you have any questions on this reel, if you know who made this reel, if you want to see more of these types of reels, just leave that in the comment section and I will try to get to that for you. Here's another reason why it's probably screaming. This side has got that accumulated grease that was sitting on the side plate that we just cleaned off. Now let's back over here on the inside of that as well. So check your work when you're doing this kind of thing. Just don't assume that it's only on the one side of the plate. In this case, it's been shared. And for those wondering, this is 000, very fine, or ultra fine steel wool that I'm using there. It's a polishing steel wool. Don't go using the coarse and regret it. Okay, well, to take care of the squeaking on this side, I'm going to take that bushing back there and we'll put a little bit of fishing reel grease in there. Then I'm going to put some grease onto the spool stud. I'm going to put that right back in place. Let's set that off to the side for now. Next up then is this pinion gear. I did take time to note that this is the bottom. So when you do remove pieces and parts from a reel, you want to make sure that you got the orientation right and that you know where they go. So how do you do that? Well, one of the best ways is to take pictures. Particularly on a reel like this, you're not going to find much information if you don't know who made the reel, like I don't know who made the reel. And well, you're not going to find a schematic diagram, or you can't even search YouTube and say, show me how to fix this reel, because, well, we don't know what this reel is. So take the pictures, take mental images of it, but don't trust your mind. And generally speaking, you'll be successful in getting it back together after you take it apart. That sits on this square shaft here, so I'm going to put a little bit of grease there. Then we'll put the gear back on. A little bit of grease onto the gear. It's been a long time since it's had fresh grease, that we know. We'll just put that in there. I'm going to put a little bit onto that spool shaft, and again, we'll set it aside. So what's the mechanics driving this? Well, there's only one main gear driving this, right? It's a direct drive reel. This one's loaded with the dried greases as well. And what we're going to do is take the two screws out that hold this bridge together so that we can do the same thing on this side that we did on the other side. Very important to note, as you are working on any reel, not just an older reel, but any reel that you are working on, match the size, the width, the length, if you will, of that screwdriver blade, so that it's not too thin and you wind up butterflying the slot. There's a lot of times that fishing reels come into me with damaged screws where you can't even get the darn thing out. So don't be one of those folks. Match your screwdriver blade to the slots, and generally speaking, you should go trouble-free with that. Well, as you can tell, I use a variety of cleaners here. I'm going to use my flat-bladed screwdriver as a scraper on this one, just because we have a lot of old grease here. That's probably what was helping it make the crying out for grease and oil noise. That's a piece of metal there, so it looks like what we have here is a piece of metal framing that's jacketing, again, that kind of plastic or Bakelite compound there for the side plate. We're going to get all of that off. And this is what happens when reels stop fishing and get sent into storage. Thank goodness this didn't get sent into a landfill, but somebody just decided to put it into a box of old reels, and over time, I guess they collected enough of them that they wanted to pass them on. We're not going to say get rid of them, we'll just say pass them on. That their custodianship of these reels had ended. And well, when they did, I happened to be fortunate enough to be there and to acquire them. And again, I view this as a custodianship. This will be passed on over time as well. Okay, that takes care of the side plate. Well, we got the same dirt and grease and debris on this. You want to make sure you remove the shaft, because as you can see, there's an awful lot of grease underneath this. Grease works by gravity. So however this reel was sitting, it all fell down to one side. We're going to do the same thing. I'm using the side of the screwdriver as that scraper. It's a dull side. It's not going to cut anything up. Shouldn't damage metal. For the most part, it's an efficient way to get rid of this stuff. Again, I'm searching on these bridges and other things to see if they put a name, a part number, something that would make it identifiable that isn't in the name, because, well, there is no name on this. And the mystery continues. We're going to call this a mystery reel. How's that? But I would like to know. And I'm wondering, is it an English-made reel? It's got a pound on it that would be like the English pound. I just don't know. And sometimes that's fun when you don't know, because then you get the chance to look. So let's say this is pre-war. Can you imagine somebody making reels in London on the eve of World War II breaking out? Wow, that just kind of sets it all in a different perspective, doesn't it? All right, we took the grease off the front side. Here it's loaded up on the back side as well. And I use the penetrating oil as a way to degrease. I don't use it as a lubricant, but it certainly does help when you need to cut through some old dried grease there. And any brand is fine. I happen to be using WD-40 today, but it seems like whenever I run out, I'll just get a can, and wherever I am, it seems to be the can that winds up on my desk. And next up, I think, is going to be this one. Bobby actually sent this one in. I've done a couple of reels for Bobby. He's out in Tennessee. He said, try this stuff, SuperTech lubricant. It has all the same things that the penetrating oil tells you about. Stops squeaks, prevents, protects metals, loosens rusted parts, frees sticking mechanisms. That's kind of what penetrating oil is about. Okay, I think we did a good job of cleaning these up. And what I like to do as well, I like to put a coat onto the gear teeth. I like to take a bristle brush and pull through so that I clean the teeth as well. I can't tell you how many times I'll get a reel in, I'll be told the reel was cleaned, and it's still going thump, 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 or whatever the indication is that they leave me. And then I look at the main gear, and it's got something stuck in one of the teeth. A little coating of grease on the inside. Let's put that main gear on. Grease onto the teeth. You don't need to put it onto that back. I don't know why that held a whole pile of dried grease in that, but it did. And all of these things that you're seeing here, it's indicative of the design of a reel from the 1920s and 30s, and the materials as well. I noticed that this is the metal as well, so I'm going to take that same pad that we used before with the rod and reel cleaner on it, and a little goes a long way, so there's still rod and reel cleaner on that pad. Clean up the inside. I want to put a little dab of grease right into where that spool is going to nest on this side. Should have a little adjuster here. I can bring the bridge over. Let's see if we can't line that up and put the screws back in. While it's simple enough to go about doing the servicing on a reel on this, it's amazing how many people want to forego servicing a reel. I've got one here that will be one of my next projects. Beautiful reel. I don't know if it's ever been serviced. This is an Ambassador 6000, and look at it. So it's just loaded with salt. I did remove the line not too long ago, but you leave that stuff on there just like this, and this is what you get. You get a difficult turning reel. You get one that's sluggish on the trip. Everything becomes salt encrusted, and well, it's just doomed to fail. And the last thing you would want to do is have a reel like this fail when you're landing the fish of a lifetime, right? So take your time, take the opportunity to service them. We're coming into the winter months now. It's usually a good time to have some downtime where you can go take the reels off of your poles, strip the line off of them, do a nice service on them, and get them ready for the resumption of the spring season. You just saw me put the handle on. We had cleaned that handle. We put the handle screw back in. And now we're just going to line this up and put the rest of this back on. There's an indentation here, so you should be able to lock this side plate in Make sure that it compresses all the way down. Just a beautiful designed reel all around. We're going to take our 5 screws and put these in. And, well, we should be able to have a reel that turns nice and free and easy. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this reel yet. I have a few reels that I keep on my shelf right by my bench here. Not because it's a museum, I'm anything but a collector, but every now and then when I'm doing a video I like to show an example of a reel from a certain era, so it's easy for me to grab one of those and say this is what a typical reel would have been like if you were saltwater fishing in the 1930s. So I may just use that for this. And again, it has those features that just say pre-World War II. It has that wooden knob. There's no star adjuster for your drag. But I just don't know because they're not telling me who made it, when it was made, and whose reel it is. No patent numbers, no information along that line. We could go research it. So I'm stumped. Okay, last screw is in. Let's see how we did. The first thing that might happen is the reel may be tight because we did put grease in both of these terminals. We may have to adjust that back off. I want to take the moment here to clean that rest of this up. It's still nice and shiny, a great example of a fishing reel. Let's see how we did. Well, we're nice and quiet. I'm not sure what that click, click, click is. It's got to be on this side. It's got to be that click button. Yeah. So what's probably happening here is that click button is not retracting all the way. But other than that, look at this reel. It's beautiful. This is what's called a knuckle buster. When you go to cast that reel, it's going to bring out the line. It's going to turn the handle backwards. So if you were casting and you happen to throw it out like this, well, when it backs up, it's going to hit you in the hand there. Knuckle busters. Okay, and thumb burners. They were called thumb burners as well. Why was that? Well, when you caught a fish, you have no drag. The fish is going to pull line out. The way to retard that line from coming out is to keep your thumb on the line to limit it to you provide the drag. And well, if it's really screaming out at you, it's going to burn your thumb. There you go. All right. Just curious about why I get that little tick, tick, tick. Maybe I'll take it apart sometime in the future and try and do a little bit more work. But I wanted to share this with you now. And again, I'm going to solicit your knowledge. If anybody knows who made this reel and when it was made, please leave that in the comment section. And regardless of whether you know or not, use that comment section to contact me, leave your questions, and well, make sure you leave a like if you've enjoyed this video. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank our first responders and our police, fire, safety, rescue, and everybody involved in day-to-day public safety and support. And I want to thank you, the viewers, for making this channel what it is. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.